Monday, September 15th, 2025. Remember this date because one day you'll tell someone where you were when you first heard it. Not a foreign threat, not a financial crash, but something far more disturbing. A vice president exposing the weakness of his own government. In his own words, this wasn't a speech. This wasn't a strategy. This was a plea. Fragile, desperate, almost begging the world to save us from ourselves. In that moment, millions of South Africans felt the sting of recognition. We were being led, but not lifted. Phones rang, radios fell silent, WhatsApp groups blazed. People replayed the clip not because they couldn't believe it, but because they could. This wasn't a slip. It was a mirror reflecting years of dependency, extravagance, and excuses. Today, I hold that mirror up to you. You'll hear the words, you'll see the mansions, you'll follow the money. $500 billion spent on conferences while hospitals rot, students starve, and mothers bury children in collapsing clinics. Don't blink, because by the end, you won't just be asking, did Paul Mashatile really say that? You'll be asking whether we've already surrendered our future without even noticing. A few days earlier, under hot lights and cold microphones, Deputy President Paul Mashatile stood before the nation. His posture was steady, his tone calm. But what came out of his mouth rang like thunder. In 4 years, Trump will be gone. Things will change. At first it sounded harmless, just a comment tossed into the air. But replay it, and the weight becomes clear. This wasn't a man in a cafe. This was the second most powerful figure in the Republic, carrying the burden of 60 million lives, speaking not of vision or action, but of waiting. Waiting for another man to lose an election in another country. Waiting for Washington to provide what we could build ourselves. Think of the irony. We sit on gold that fueled empires, coal and diamonds that shaped markets, fertile land that could feed a continent, and sun strong enough to power half of Africa. Yet our deputy president's master plan is not to create, invest, or innovate, but to wait for America to move first. For millions, that single sentence shattered illusions. Leadership in 2025 had been reduced to a dangerous game of wait and hope, played with the lives of ordinary people. Mothers waiting for medicine, students waiting for jobs, communities waiting for lights, taps, and promises that never come. South Africa saw the truth naked. We are not being led into the future. We are being told to stand by. And this was not a one-time mistake. It was another crack in a crumbling wall. Let's rewind. On June 13th, 2025, Mashatile revealed something even more devastating. Speaking on HIV programs, he admitted that when the US cut PEPFAR funding, South Africa's lifeline for millions living with HIV, the program could collapse overnight. 17% of our health budget rested not in Pretoria or Cape Town, but in Washington, at the mercy of foreign politicians. That is not sovereignty. That is dependency, shouted to the world. And while warning of collapsed budgets, the same government allocated 700 million rand for a so-called national dialogue. When outrage grew, they trimmed it, but whether 700 or 450 million, it was still nearly $500 million wasted on hotels, catered lunches, and empty speeches. Money that could have bought medicine, funded clinics, or saved lives. Then in September, Mashatile told us not to worry, because Trump would be gone. That wasn't leadership. That was dependency masquerading as diplomacy. Here's the cruel irony. While ordinary South Africans are told to wait, beg, and survive, Mashatile himself is insulated. His salary is over 3 million rand a year, but his empire is worth far more. He owns mansions totaling over 65 million rand. One worth 29 million in Cape Town, another worth 37 million in Johannesburg. Marble floors, private security, endless water and power. While rural families live in shacks torn apart by storms, while nurses work by candlelight, while children drink from muddy rivers, the elite sip clean water behind fortress walls. For them, there is no waiting. Dependence is only for the poor. Now circle back to that infamous dialogue budget. Imagine what $500 million could have done. A year's supply of ARV medication costs 816 rand per patient. With 700 million, nearly 856,000 people could have received life-saving treatment. A fully equipped ambulance costs 1.2 million rand. 580 could have been placed on the roads, Transforming emergency response. A borehole for clean water costs 200,000. 3,500 could have been drilled across rural South Africa. A single dose of nevirapine, which prevents HIV transmission from mother to child, costs less than 100 rand. With that money, 7 million children could have been protected at birth. Instead, banners were printed, microphones rented, and meals served to officials who left nothing behind but receipts. This is not just financial mismanagement. It is moral failure. The true cost of dependency is written in the funerals of people who should be alive. It is written in mothers' tears, in clinic benches where patients wait in vain, in children condemned to drink dirty water. South Africa is not poor. Our soil is rich with gold, platinum, and diamonds. Our farms can feed the continent, our sun can power it, and our rivers flow wide. But our leaders see only begging bowls. They loot instead of lead, beg instead of build. Mashatile's words in June and September weren't slips, they were symptoms. Symptoms of a government that would rather wait for America than work for South Africans. And when he says, "Don't worry, Trump will be gone," what he really means is, "Don't worry, I'll be fine." His lights will never go out. His children will never go hungry. His doctors will never cancel appointments. Waiting, hunger, and darkness, that is for the ordinary citizen. And that is why these words matter. They are not weakness. They are betrayal. A betrayal of wealth, of dignity, of the future we could have built. The question is not whether America will save us. The question is whether South Africans will finally refuse to be led by men who beg abroad while looting at home.